Another major film that I saw for the first time recently was High Noon, the 1952 Western directed by Fred Zinneman and starring Gary Cooper and Grace Kelly. It's the story of a sheriff who's resigned from his job on the day of his wedding to a young Quaker woman. He's delighted to finally be turning in his badge and starting a new life, possibly running a store in the big city. But he receives news at 10:30 that morning that Frank Miller, a man whom he helped put in prison, is on the train arriving back in town at 12 o'clock, and he plans to murder the marshal and anyone who stands with him. The marshal then travels around the town trying to summon up a posse to take on Miller and his men who are waiting for him at the station. It's a film told in real time, famously. It's 90 minutes and unfolds between 10:30 and 12 o'clock, and sees the marshal trying to find people willing to stand by him and do the right thing to protect the town from the threat of this man, even though it's said that the idea of having gunfire on the street will mean that the state is less likely to invest in a town that's only just getting back on its feet. There are all sorts of characters and all sorts of arguments made as to why they won't join in, why they refuse to participate, why they refuse to help. And the film is deliberately an allegory for the McCarthy hearings at the time, where America was seized by this witch hunt, in the film industry particularly, over who might be a communist and who might be trying to subvert authority. And this tyrannical regime saw many lose their livelihoods and some even lose their lives. Few were willing to stand up and be counted and say this was wrong. And the marshal here is one of those. He's prepared to stand up against tyranny and stand for what's right, but struggles to find anyone else who's prepared to stand by him, even though his wife ultimately does join his side and help in her own way. It's an extremely tight film, as I say, it's barely 90 minutes long, and it maintains the tension throughout. There are constant shots of clocks in the background ticking away the hours. There's shots of the railway stretching off into the distance, where maybe you can just about make out a train in the distance, and various characters' loyalties swing back and forth depending on their relationship with the marshal and his past loves. Um, Gary Cooper is very solid and dependable in the lead role, and there is a great conflict in him. You can see that he is unwilling to abuse his position in order to get people to help him. But he knows that if he goes there on his own, he is likely to die. But no one else is prepared to support him or even save his life. Even his own deputies won't help him. I thought it was a very timely film, something still relevant today of those who are prepared to stand up and do the right thing, regardless of how few others are prepared to support them and how spineless many people can be, folding over in the face of tyranny and abuse of power simply because they're too afraid to do anything about it. Um, but at the time, it must have been shocking